Hello, I'm glad to see you again in VNA News Bulletin. I'm Nga from Hanoi, and now the headlines as usual. The government holds first regular meeting in new tenure. Goods transported through seaports increased 13%. Godai Beach rated as the world's cheapest destination. State President Chen Dae-kwang and some other legislators met constituents in District 1 of Ho Chi Minh City on August 1st to inform the outcomes of the freshly ended first session of the 14th National Assembly and collect opinions on issues of public concern. Having loaded the voting and approval of high-ranking positions by the National Assembly at its first session, the constituents expected the legislators would fulfill their plans of actions they promised during the election campaign. The voters also raised petitions on a range of issues, including corruption, public debt, environmental pollution, food safety, and national sovereignty. They requested the National Assembly to renew the organization of meetings with voters and to increase the number of full-time deputies to enhance the independence of lawmaking. Acknowledging these recommendations, President Chen Dae-kwang underscored the top priority is to better control public debt by tightening the monitoring of public expenditures. In regard to the fight against corruption and wastefulness, he also held that the work has failed to meet the people's expectations. Concerning the East Sea issue, the President affirmed the country's determination to protect its territorial sovereignty and integrity through peaceful measures aligned with international law. The Foreign Ministry has promptly responded to the recent ruling of the Permanent Court of Arbitration on the Philippines' lawsuit against China's claims in the East Sea, he said, adding that Vietnam's stance on the East Sea issue is supported by the international community. Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc has required cabinet members as well as ministries and agencies of the 2016 to 2021 tenure to swiftly roll out their working plans to support the government in designing and spurring growth in service of people. The Prime Minister made the request at the government's regular meeting in Hanoi on August 1st after he handed over the state president's appointment decisions to each of the cabinet members. This is the first cabinet meeting since the 14th National Assembly elected the Prime Minister and passed the list of cabinet members for the 2016 to 2021 during its first session from July 20th to 29th. Prime Minister Phuc asked the cabinet members to be aware of their responsibilities and grasp issues under their charge to promptly fix weaknesses, especially those of public concern, thus setting forth pragmatic solutions to improve the efficiency of state management. Ministries and agencies were requested to define key points in the management and administration work, map out suitable implementation measures, and promptly respond to emerging problems. Prime Minister Phuc stressed that a government that decides and spurs growth must make outstanding performances in developing institutions, laws, and policies. In that spirit, he requested ministries and agencies to well fulfill the task, define clear and specific development strategies, and join hands with each other as well as with localities in state management. The first working session of the two-day meeting held several draft laws and draft decrees. Now we move to other important news. The Asean Senior Economic Officials meeting began in Vientiane, Laos on August 1st to gear up for the 40th ASEAN Economic Ministers meeting and related meetings. A Vietnamese delegation attended the event. During the two-day event, senior economic officials from 10 ASEAN member states discussed the agenda for the 40th ASEAN Economic Ministers meeting and related meetings scheduled for August 3rd to 6th. The meeting will discuss topics from the 22nd ASEAN Economic Ministers Retreat in Chiang Mai, Thailand in March, and is set to adopt 8 priorities for the ASEAN economic pillar. The ASEAN economic ministers will also identify standards for building the ASEAN economic community and map out the implementation of the Community Blueprint 2025. The 40th ASEAN Economic Ministers meeting convenes at the time when the 10 ASEAN member states are tearing to form the ASEAN Economic Community. The results of the meeting and related events will be put on the table at the ASEAN Summit and related summits held in Vietnam from September 6 to 8th. Goods transported through seaports of Vietnam are estimated to have hit over 230 million tons since the beginning of 2016, a year-on-year increase of 13%. The Vietnam Maritime Administration reported of the figures, container goods reached 6.5 million TEUs, up 90% against the same period last year, making up 52% of this year's target. Vietnam has 44 seaports and 250 gulfs with a total designed capacity of up to 500 million tons of goods a year. To increase the country's seaport capacity, the Vietnam Maritime Administration will focus on completing projects on developing an inland container depot system to 2020, with a vision to 2030. The largest wood chip processing factory for export in the central province of Phú Yên has started operations at Dong Bắc Sông Cầu Industrial Park. More details coming up next.
The 36,000 square meter factory was built by a local private enterprise at a total cost of $4.5 million. The project is set to produce 100,000 tons of wood chip annually, with a designed capacity of 36 tons per hour during its first phase. It will then switch to manufacture 100,000 tons of wood pallets in 2017 for export to the Republic of Korea, the US, and the EU. The company has a 2,000-hectare material area to feed the factory. It has worked with the National Economics University, Bureau Veritas, and Korean-based Yongseong University and Kangwon National University to study new wood processing technologies.
Public transport is expected to make up 35% of Hanoi's total transportation market share in 2020, rising from 12% at present. This is part of the city's recently released transport planning for 2020, with a vision towards 2050.
Public transport is seen as a solution to traffic jams in the capital, as it can deal with the large population and weak infrastructure. The planning targets sustainability, comprehensiveness, and modernity of the municipal transport systems. As part of the Capital Development Master Plan to 2050, the Municipal Department of Transport held a recent ceremony to announce the blueprint. Hanoi aims to reduce up to 10 congestion hotspots and limit the duration of traffic jams to less than 30 minutes. Figures from the city show that about 20,000 motorbikes and 8,000 cars are newly registered every month. It is estimated the city will have about 1 million cars and 7 million motorbikes by 2020. Traffic infrastructure remains inadequate, making traffic congestion a major problem, especially in the inner city.
If you haven't been already, it might be time to visit Cửa Đại Beach in the famous ancient city of Hội An. Cửa Đại has been rated as the world's cheapest beach holiday destination.
Travelbird, a Netherlands-based travel site, have recently released its beach price index, which rates beautiful beaches of the world by how much it costs to have fun there in descending order. Cửa Đại Beach finished bottom, 250th, which means it's the cheapest beach to go to. At a cost of $13.54, beachgoers at Cửa Đại can get 5 essential items that Travelbird used to calculate the index: sunscreen, a bottle of water, a bottle of beer, an ice cream, and lunch for one person with food and drinks. the bottom 10 of the list, though surveyed 66 countries worldwide, is made up of Vietnam and India's beaches only. Without even trying, Vietnam took on 4 bottom positions, leaving the rest for India. By the way, just recently, Hanoi has been named the most affordable city to visit by the infamous TripAdvisor.
Ancient Vietnamese scripts Hanoi can still be seen at a number of historical sites in Vietnam today. As an integral part of the site's architecture, these characters convey the ancient notes on the cultural values of these places and the people they honored. Communal houses, temples and shrines were often engraved with Han, classical Chinese, and Nom, the vernacular logographic Vietnamese script. The content praises the scenery, etiquette, and contributions of the people worshipped inside. Couplets of these characters, carved on horizontal lacquered boards or pairs of wooden panels, were a notable architectural feature in the past. In addition to red lacquered objects trimmed with gold and carvings in the shape of a dragon or phoenix.
Couplets together with surrounding decorations and the precincts of the pagoda make a perfect whole.
At historical sites in Vietnam today, documents in Han script make up the lion's share. There are more than 7,000 ancient couplets across different sites in Hanoi, 95% of which were written in Han script.
Han and Nom scripts coexisted as part of the Vietnamese language. They recorded thoughts, culture, and history of the Vietnamese people across various aspects of life, including literature, religion, and architecture.
As time went on, some sites were renovated and began to use the Latin transcribed Vietnamese version instead of Han Nom scripts. Quan Sư, a popular pagoda in Hanoi, and a number of pagodas in the Trường Sa, known as Bradley Archipelago, are examples. According to Tuấn, it is hardly acceptable if the ancient scripts were completely replaced by the Latin alphabet at historical sites.
Han characters are more formal. They also contain the art of calligraphy, which is very different from the Latin alphabet in modern Vietnamese.
Tuấn said he believes there are other ways to have visitors understand the ancient characters. He suggested that the publication of translation handbooks would come in handy.
Documents and handbooks with translations of the Asian materials and couplets placed inside historical sites are very useful. Some pagodas have tried the method.
Most ancient documents were written using the Vietnamese ancient scripts. If the scripts are lost, the connection between our past and present will be severely affected. The characters, which are often seen in the most solemn locations, have their own honorable place, that is, irreplaceable in the mind of Vietnamese people. And that has wrapped up our news bulletin. Thanks for watching and see you next time.